Good morning, everyone. This is Paul with Denver Decks, and this morning we're going to be talking a little bit about fire pits. Now, there are a couple of locations that we install fire pits. One is over a concrete patio, and the other is over a deck. We can build them round, we can build them square. If it is going onto a deck, there is a very specific way the deck needs to be framed to be able to accommodate it. But if it's going onto concrete, our concrete is structural and will more than support the actual fire pit. Now, you've got a couple of options when you're going with the fire pit. One is you can do a wood burning fire pit, which is going to be the most affordable, or two, you can do a gas fire pit. Now, in either scenario, we're just building the fire pit. We're not actually running the gas line. We don't provide the fire emitter. We recommend that you contact Colorado Gas Connections to run the actual gas line, as well as to go over the different fire ring options and whatnot, and we work in concert with them. If it's a wood burning fire pit, then we're good. We're going to build it out of fire block, and then we're going to face it with cinder block, and then do either a faux stone, a stucco, or a brick, whatever is existing on the home. Typically, we're going to match that material. Now, we always cap them with a flag stone. Flag stone can take the high heat, holds up really well in our climate. Now, a couple of considerations with the fire pit. You would expect to pay about $3,500, give or take $500, depending on the size, whether it's square or rectangular, or if it's a round fire pit. And then, of course, you have the consideration of what it would cost to run the gas. Now, running the gas, you rarely are able to just tie into a stub off of the back of the house. The reason being is the builder is running those stubs to be able to provide whatever appliance would be connected to it. So oftentimes a homeowner will say, well, I've got a gas line on the other side of the wall, so it'll be easy enough. But unfortunately, it needs to run from the main inside the utility room or from the actual meter at the front of the house. So you could be looking at anywhere from an additional $3,000 to $5,000 to actually run that gas line, and then the fire ring and the valves and everything else involved. So you can see that a wood burning fire pit is certainly more affordable. Now, the last consideration, I always like to mention this to a homeowner that's wanting to do a fire pit, is depending on the size of the space, if you know for sure you're a family that's going to enjoy a fire pit and it's not going to lose its flair after a handful of years, great. But if you're not really sure, I'll liken it to hot tubs. So anytime we're rebuilding a deck that is built around an existing hot tub, it's more common than not that the homeowner says, we're getting rid of the hot tub. We don't want the deck's designed to be contingent upon the hot tub. We don't use it as much as we thought. So I'll use that in comparison to the fire pit. If you install a fire pit and after 3 or 4 years you're not using it as much as you thought you would, it becomes a very expensive table, a $3,000 table or a $5,000 table, and it's a fixed table. It cannot be moved. So depending on the size of your deck or the size of your patio, wherever that fire pit is, you want to think about the fact that if you don't use it as much as you thought you would, are you going to be okay giving up that real estate on the deck? Hopefully that makes sense. So with that being the case, I always mention to homeowners that they do make really nice portable units. They're not as convenient because they typically need a propane tank stored underneath, but they've come a long way in their aesthetic. So you can get a really nice portable fire pit. You can spend as little as a few $100s or as much as several $1,000s. But the nice thing about a portable unit is if you don't use it as much as you thought, it doesn't become a very expensive table. You can always pick it up and relocate it to a different part, or you can store it, or you can even sell it. So those are some different considerations when it comes to fire features, fire pits. And outside of that, I would love to hear from you to go over any questions. Again, Paul at Denver Decks, 303-730-9642, or please feel free to email us at deckman1963@gmail.com. Thank you.